All right, so Heracles, he killed his wife and children because Hera put a spell on him, making him think that he was fighting monsters. So, in order to absolve his guilt, he pledges to serve his cousin. I think it's Eurystheus. Is that right? Yeah, Eurystheus. And Eurystheus hates Heracles and wants him to die, wants him to go away. So he sends them on him on these impossible tasks. So the first impossible task is to slay the Nemean lion. All right, and this lion has been roaming the countryside, being a huge nuisance of itself, killing the crops, killing babies, killing children, and even the soldiers can't defeat it. It has a magical hide, a magical skin that makes it impervious to weapons. So swords, spears, arrows, none of that has any effect on the lion. So what is how does Heracles kill it? He strangles it to death. He wrestles it to death. Now, this is a one of the more popular stories of Heracles, and ever after he slays the Nemean lion, he is always depicted wearing a lion skin. So here's the lion skin on his head. Even here in the Hercules Disney movie, he wears the lion skin of what's the character from? Yeah, who? Scar from Lion King. All right. Anyways, Heracles pops up all over Greek art. So if ever you see somebody wearing a weird lion skin wrapped around his shoulders over his head, then you'll know that that is Heracles. Also, if you see somebody carrying a lion skin, that is also Heracles. Or if you see somebody next to a lion skin, that is also Heracles. If you see somebody wrestling a lion, that is also Heracles. We have a red figure vase showing him wrestling a lion. We have a black figure vase showing him wrestling a lion. And, anyways, we are discussing the temple of Zeus at Olympia, and here is one of the metopes showing the slaying of the Nemean lion. All right, his second labor is to slay the Hydra. And so he is with his buddy Iolaus, I'm guess Iolaus. Anyways, Heracles fights the Hydra, and every time he cuts off the head, what happens? Two more grow back, and so it's impossible to kill it. So, with the help of Iolaus, 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 anyways, with the help of his good friend, he is able to cut off the heads, and his good friend cauterizes the wound, preventing the heads from growing back. So, if ever you see on Greek art somebody fighting a multi headed snake like creature, that is Heracles and the Hydra. On the Temple of Zeus, which is the building that we are studying for this, is the metapiece showing Zeus fighting the Hydra. Then we have the capture of the hind. I bet you're wondering what a hind is. Hind is like a deer. And this is a very special deer. It's an enormous female deer. It's larger than a bull, and it has golden antlers like a stag. It has hooves of bronze or brass, and it has a dappled hide. And it is super fast. It takes Heracles a full year just to find it. Now, this is one of a set of 5 holy hinds created by Artemis, and they pull her chariot. And this is the only one that is free. The other 4 belong to Artemis pulling her chariot. So, anyways, if you see on a Greek vase painting this dude wearing a lion skin, and this deer with the golden antlers, that is the second labor of Heracles. And this is the metope on the right, what's left of it, from the Temple of Zeus at Olympia. The fourth labor is to capture this enormous boar. And this boar is absolutely huge, just like the lion. It is creating a problem in the countryside, and is very strong. And Heracles has a hard time wrestling with it. So he chases it into the snow, and as the boar has to walk through the snow, it wears itself out, and then Heracles is able to bring it back. And when he does, Eurystheus is so scared to see the boar that he hides inside of a big vase. So here he is hiding inside the big vase. He's such a chicken. Anyways, on the metope for the Temple of Zeus at Olympia, you can see the original metope and what it was supposed to have looked like. All right, his fifth labor is to clean the Aegean stables in a single day. What is a stable? What is it? What kind of animal does it have in it? Horsies. That's right. And what do horsies do a lot of that you need to clean up? They poop a lot. All right. The cattle and the horsies. Can you see the mounds of poop? All right. It's absolutely. And how do you clean that up in a single day? Well, Heracles, he throws boulders into a river, diverts the river, and the river rushes through the stables, cleaning out all the poop. And in this image, you can see all the poop going out the back end of the stables. So here is the metope for cleaning out the stables of the Aegean stables. The sixth labor is to slay the Symphalian birds. These birds have a bronze beak and bronze claws and bronze feathers that they shoot at you. These birds are killers. They are able to kill men, so they need to get rid of these birds. But how do you fight like a whole big flock of birds? So Athena gives him these special drums, and as he beats the drums, that causes them to fly up, and he's able to shoot them down with a bow and arrow. And the arrow is tipped or dipped in the blood of the Hydra, so he's able to kill them that way. You can see that on black figure vases, and this is our metope from the Temple of Zeus. The seventh labor is to capture the Cretan bull. All right, so he has to go all the way to Crete. It's a long sail for him, but he eventually gets to Crete and finds the bull. By the way, this is the exact same bull that Minos refused to give to uh, uh, Poseidon. This is the same bull that Poseidon made Minos' wife fall in love with. This is the same bull that is the father of the Minotaur. So he is able to wrestle the bull and bring the bull back. So when he brings it back, Eurystheus is rude to him, so he just lets the bull go, and the bull terrorizes everybody in the room. All right, so if you look on Greek vase painting, you can see him wrestling with the bull. That's Eurystheus on the left. And then at the Temple of Epheus, you can see Heracles fighting with the bull. The eighth labor is to steal the mares of Diomedes. Now, Diomedes is the king of he rules over Thrace. He's a real big jerk. And one of the things that makes him a big jerk is he has these two thugs that work for him. And if he finds any foreigners in his land, he will take the foreigner and throw the foreigner to his horses and the horses will eat the foreigner. Right? These are man-eating horses. When Heracles gets to Thrace, the locals there tell him all the horrible things that Diomedes has done. And sure enough, Diomedes learns of Heracles in Thrace, and he doesn't like foreigners. So he comes to get Heracles to throw him to his mares, his horses, and Heracles defeats the guards and throws Diomedes into his own horses, and he gets eaten by his own horses. Later on, a friend of Heracles gets eaten by the horses. That's not a good thing. Anyways, you'll find images of the horses and Heracles on Greek vases. And at the Temple of Zeus at Olympia, this is the metope that shows Achilles, or not Achilles, but Heracles and the mares. The ninth labor is to obtain the girdle of Hippolyta. Does everybody know what a girdle is? Women might often wear a girdle to suck in or to make their waist look smaller. Now, Eurystheus has a spoiled daughter, and she wants the girdle of Hippolyta. So he sends Heracles to go and get it. Hippolyta is the queen of the Amazons, so it won't be easy to take the girdle from Hippolyta. And that girdle was given to her by Ares. She's not going to give it up easily. But it turns out Hippolyta and Heracles are actually friends, and she's just going to give it to him without any drama at all. Well, Hera doesn't like that. Hera hates Heracles, and so Hera she disguises herself as an Amazon and whispers to the other Amazon warriors that Heracles is going to try to kill everybody and steal the girdle. So they all attack Heracles, and he fights back, killing them all, and then he takes the girdle. You will often find Heracles fighting the Amazons on Greek vase painting. And then here is the metope on the Temple of Zeus at Olympia showing Heracles fighting the Amazons. The 10th labor is for him to steal the cattle of Geryon. Now, Geryon is a giant, and he lives on a distant island. And everybody that has sailed away to go to Geryon has never come back. So Eurystheus is hoping that Heracles never comes back. The island of Geryon is just on the other side of the Straits of Gibraltar, right here. And the Straits of Gibraltar is rather unique. It's a very narrow body of water between Africa and Europe. And so when Heracles sails there, he is blocked because the Straits of Gibraltar are not there yet. It is a mountain range. So he is stopped by the mountain range. Well, that shouldn't stop Heracles. He divides the mountain in two and makes this narrow passage so that he could sail through. Now, your history teachers and your science teachers are going to try to tell you that it's from I'm having a brain fart, tectonic plates and erosion. All right. But that's a filthy lie. It was made by Heracles. So when Heracles gets to this island and he sees Geryon, well, Geryon is a giant that has three bodies, not just three heads. He has three heads, six arms, and six legs. And so it is a very difficult creature to fight. And he throws Heracles around like a rag doll. Hera is helping Geryon. And as long as she helps Geryon, there's no way that Heracles can defeat Geryon. So what does he do? He shoots Hera with an arrow that is dipped in the blood of the Hydra. that injures her. So she has to go back up to Mount Olympus to heal. And at that point, Heracles is able to defeat Geryon, and he's able to take all the cattle. So here is a black vase painting of Heracles fighting the giant of Geryon. And then here is the metope from the Temple of Zeus at Olympia. Number 11 is to bring back the golden apples from the Garden of Hesperides. So the golden apples. The story of the golden apple starts with the marriage between Hera and Zeus. At this wedding, Gaia, who is the mother of Hera, gives her a golden apple, and they plant the golden apple at the Garden of Hesperides. This is the most beautiful garden. It is at the edge of the world, so it is very difficult to go to. And actually, nobody really knows where it is except for the gods that live there. And also, the other unusual thing about this is because it's on the edge of the world, it is an island where the sun is perpetually setting. So it is eternally afternoon at the Garden of Hesperides. So they plant the golden apple, the seeds from the golden apple, and it creates this tree that sprouts golden apples. And Hera has these nymphs of the west tend to the tree, but they start eating the apples, and she doesn't like that. So then she puts this dragon to guard the tree of the golden apples of Hesperides. Now, Heracles has no idea where the Garden of Hesperides is, but you know who does? Atlas knows where it is. That's why we named a book of maps Atlas, because he knows where everything is. And also, guys know that Atlas is the guy who has the world on his shoulder. He holds up the earth. So Heracles goes to ask Atlas, "Hey, where's the Garden of Hesperides?" All right, thank you. When Minwan, Minquan, and Atlas says, I can't tell you where it is, but I can go get them. If you'll hold up the world for a while, I'll go and get them for you." So that's what Heracles does. For a while, Heracles holds up the world, and Atlas brings back the golden apples. But then Atlas thinks, you know what? I'm tired of holding up the world. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it. I think I'm just going to let Heracles hold up the world, and I'm going to go do my own thing. And at that point, Heracles says, "Okay, okay, all right, you got me. I'll hold up the world, but if you'll just like let me just like adjust my sandal, it's a bit uncomfortable." And knowing how uncomfortable a like a stone in your sandal or the sandal being the wrong way is, Atlas feels sorry for Heracles, holds up the world while he adjusts his sandal, and at that point, Heracles takes the golden apples and takes off. So in Greek art, here is Heracles sitting on his lion skin, and he is with the nymphs that guard the tree of the golden apples of Hesperides. And then here is a black figure vase showing Atlas returning with the golden apples for Heracles. And then here is the metope showing the Temple of Zeus at Olympia, where Atlas returns with the golden apples. Okay, and then the final labor of Heracles is to capture Cerberus from Hades. One of the problems for Eurystheus is that he hates Heracles so much. But Heracles, each time that he finishes one of these impossible tasks, he gets more and more popular with people. And so Eurystheus hates him even more and more. And that's almost impossible to hate him more. But every time he completes a task, he hates them more. So he sends Heracles to Hades. No human has ever come back from Hades. Once you go to Hades, that's it. You're stuck. But Heracles, Hades is his uncle. If his father is Zeus and Hades is the brother of Zeus, then Hades is the uncle of Heracles. So he gets a guide. Hermes guides him through Hades. That's where all the souls are. And he asks his uncle, okay, can I borrow Cerberus? And his uncle Hades says, okay, but only if you subdue it by brute strength alone, which is exactly what Heracles does. He subdues Cerberus, brings Cerberus back, and once again, Eurystheus hides in a vase because he's scared of the beast. And then Heracles lets Cerberus go, and Cerberus runs back to Hades. Eurystheus has no choice but declares Heracles free from his service and it releases him of his obligations. So here is Heracles and Cerberus, and here is Heracles and Cerberus, and then here is Heracles and Cerberus on the Temple of Zeus at Olympia. All right, moving on. We're going to take a look at some statues. Are we good to go? Anybody need more time? All right, this is a statue that I want you to know. It's a very important statue in Greek art. And I want you to pay attention to, well, before that, does this look similar to other statues that we've looked at? Does it look like a Kuros? Do you remember them? All right. Same kind of pose as the Kuros, but there's something different about this one. If you look at the figure on the left, you notice that one hip is slightly above the other hip. All right. So I've been talking about how in the Kuros that the hips don't move, that when one foot is forward. Here they begin to move. And what this shows us is that the Greeks are beginning to look at the anatomy of people as they sculpt them. It's no longer a cartoon of a person, it's becoming more realistic. So with Kriotos Boy, the sculptures are beginning to come alive. And that's what makes this sculpture so important. Also, we are finished with the archaic smile, and you can see it here with the Egyptian sculpture. The shoulders and the hips are even with the Kuros. The shoulders and the hips are even with the Kriotos Boy. The left, all right, on our as we're looking at the hip on the left, or his as we look at it, the one on the right or his left is a little bit higher than the other one. And then ever so slightly, the his right shoulder is higher than the left shoulder. And we look at this and then this, that the bodies are beginning to move more subtly. And this pose is a famous or a popular uh, pose in classical art, and it's called contrapposto. Contrapposto is the S-shaped pose the body makes when leaning on one foot. So the pose goes something like this. All right, so if I stand with both feet even, both my legs are straight, and my weight is even on both feet, all right, that is not contrapposto. But if I shift my weight to one side, my right leg is straight, but my left leg becomes relaxed, all right, and my hip goes out to my right a little bit. In order for me not to fall over, my body adjusts for this, and so my left shoulder goes up, my right shoulder goes down, and then my head kind of tilts to my left, and so this creates uh, a, um, an S-shaped curve. You can see it a little bit more in this cartoon. This Egyptian comes back from Greece and say, like, is that Heptup? Wow, he looks amazing. How is Greece? You look really relaxed. Yeah, I got into Contrapposto over there. It's where you put all your weight on one leg. I feel really dynamic. And so everybody's looking at Heptup with his new Contrapposto pose. And I'm one thing I want to express to you, if you learn nothing from the first semester of art history, I want you to remember Venus of Willendorf, and I want you to remember Contrapposto. All right, we're going to come back to Contrapposto a lot, but I'm going to show you just a lot of pictures based on Contrapposto. And then here's what's happening with the bones inside of your body as you lean on one leg and the other leg is relaxed. And it begins to show up more and more in Greek art. And it will also show up in the Renaissance art that we will look at later. The first year I was teaching art history, some of my students, in order to remember contrapposto, they started saying, count your pasta. And so if that helps you remember it, all right, I made a meme of it. Anyways, I want to move on. We're going to look at bronze statues. All right, we're going to watch this video showing how bronze sculptures are made. This is a wax sculpture at this point. What happens to wax when it gets hot? It melts. What he's doing here is he's creating a mold. That's hot wax. And he's made a hollow figure, and now he's filled in that hollow figure with plaster. These are wax tubes. And then he's putting in these little spikes. And so when the wax melts, and he wants the plaster on the inside to stay in the same spot. And that's what those little spikes are going to do. He's covering the whole thing in plaster. He's going to melt it or heat it up, and all the wax goes out the bottom. So it's a little tiny plaster core with a hollow skin around it and a plaster outside. He's putting bronze in there, and they're going to melt the bronze. They're cutting off the tubes and taking those pins out. And that is how you make a bronze sculpture. So let's take a look at some bronze sculpture. We're going to skip past this video, same thing. In this red figure vase, it shows ancient Greeks making bronze sculptures. Here is the furnace where they get the bronze really hot and melt it. And then up here are some molds that they are working with. And then up here, there's a hand, there's a foot, and there's some body parts. And you just kind of think of like when you go to a department store and you see mannequins. All right, it's kind of the same thing. They kind of they cast them in parts and then they put them together. All right, so we're going to go to Italy. Where is Italy? It's the easiest one to find, right? What's it shaped like? A boot. All right, easy to find. And at the tip of Italy, there's this place called Riachi. And at the bottom of the ocean, they found these sculptures. They were probably on a boat, and the boat sank, and they sank with the boat. So they found these sculptures. They brought them up to the surface of the boat. And moved them into a museum and restored them. Here is what it looked like before they cleaned it up and what it looked like after they cleaned it up. There's a lot of restoration that went into these figures, and here's them on display now. This is bronze hollow casting. and it allows a greater range of motion than marble sculptures. Notice that the weight is more pronounced. The weight shift is more pronounced than Creotus boy. With bronze, the sculptors are really able to move the body around. With marble, they have to keep it a certain way because if it is too heavy on one side, the marble will break. I also want to point out that there's different kinds of metal in the sculpture. The teeth are silver, the lips are copper, and then we can look at this full beard shows wisdom and old age. It's a father figure. And if we compare it to the Creotos boy, we have a young boy and an old man. And here is a display of them that they think they would have had a shield, they think they would have had a helmet and a fox hat. Anyways, the Riachi warriors. The most important thing about them is notice that the contrapposto is more pronounced. Moving on to the discobolos. Now, what is this made out of? Yes, it's made out of marble. All right, and I'm supposed to be talking to you guys about bronze. So there's a reason for this discrepancy. The Greeks made lots of bronzes. When the Romans conquered the Greeks, they looked at these bronzes and they really liked the bronzes, but they also liked the bronze. They wanted to melt them down and use that bronze for weapons and armor and things of that nature. So instead of just melting them down and destroying the art, they made copies of them out of bronze, out of marble. So what we're looking at is Roman copies of Greek bronzes. All right, so I want to talk about the Discobolos. This is a digital recreation of it. Say that again. I know, and I need to fix that. Maybe I should fix that right now. Come on. All right. And I'm also going to fix that. There, happy? All right. So, anyways, the other one the same way. Yeah, I'm going to fix that one. One of the things that makes this sculpture so amazing is how totally free of the block of stone that it was carved from. And the Romans made lots of copies of Discobolos. We're done with the archaic smile, and the Romans were really looking at the balance and equilibrium of the figure. So if you look here, there is a there's a nice arc right here through the arms and into the foot, and then there's a nice arc this way as well. I need to fix that as well. Anyways, and this sculpture was even owned by Hitler on April 20th, 1938. It was Hitler's birthday, and he bought the Scobolos for 5 million lire. And a quote by him: "You will see how splendid man used to be in the beauty of his body, and you will realize that we can speak of progress only when we have not not only attained such beauty, but even, if possible, when we have surpassed it." Anyways, in 1948, the Discobolos that he bought was returned to Italy. All right, we're going to move on to Doryphorus, the spear bearer. And this was found in Pompeii, Italy. This is again is a Roman copy of a Greek bronze. And this is the ideal statue of a nude male athlete or warrior. It's the artist's attempt at perfection. And it has a dynamic asymmetrical balance. Asymmetrical means it's not the same on both sides. And this sculpture shows physical perfection. And then this sculpture also becomes the canon, right, of the human figure for the Greeks. So it would have had, as a bronze sculpture, it would have had a spear with him. And also, I want you to notice that there is this tree trunk right here that actually grows right into the back of the leg. Why is that tree trunk there? It's for support. If it wasn't there, this sculpture would break at the ankles because these ankles are quite thin and it wouldn't support all the weight. So it's the tree trunk that supports the weight. But in a bronze sculpture, you don't need that. So with a with the contrapposto, you can begin to offset the balance. So the engaged arm is counterbalanced by the engaged leg. And then the relaxed arm is counterbalanced by the relaxed leg. We have a cross balance of harmony. Right? That's part of the perfection of the composition of this sculpture. Now, the canon. The canon shows that this is 7 heads tall. So if you take the distance from the top of the head to the chin and you repeat that, so that's one time, that's the first head, the second head, third head, fourth head, fifth head, sixth head, and the seventh head, that will give you the ideal proportion of the head versus the rest of the body. The shoulders should be 2 heads wide. The upper arm should be 1 head. The lower arm should be 1 head. So everything is mapped out according to the heads, and that is the symmetry and the canon of Doryphorus. And he's on the verge of moving or speaking. And also, look at the hair. All right, the hair is becoming much more natural, much more realistic. And we can see how the body is becoming much more free from the block of stone than before. All right, and we are going to stop there. We're going to finish the second part of 4 of the Greek art. Are there any questions about anything we discussed? Your article summary is due today. I will turn off the the article summary assignment in Schoology tomorrow. So you have all day today to turn it in. Make yours look like mine. I give you an example, and you make yours look like mine. Even if you're using a different program to write it, make yours look like mine with a header, footnotes, a bibliography, and notes. Any question about the article summary?